Go live. Okay, so we are live. Should be live on YouTube now. All right. So okay. Oops. Berlaku. Okay. Nampak macam ada 44. Dia top chat. Dia kalau dia tulis top chat 44 tu, is it the number of people?
I think so.
Yeah.
Let's look at.
So now it's already live. Those who have joined in, please. But when they join in, we should be able to see kan. So kau tak nampak pula. Okay. So
people are coming in. Yeah.
The already 3.
Hello, Kiman.
Kiman. Hello, Kiman. Hello, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kita belum mula lagi nih. Kita tunggu orang masuk dulu. So you can see Hafiz there on standby mode. I'm a host, so I'm a bit relaxed today.
I'm having so many butterflies in my stomach right now.
How come I don't see Kiman in the list? Now I see. Now, Dr. Sharifah Rozaina, Assalamualaikum. We have Martin L. We have Anissa Jessica Lee. We have Muhammad Peng Chi Hong, Dewi Teshin. Hello, everyone. I think let's people join in slowly. We will give another 2 minutes, if you all don't mind. Give time for people to join in.
Yeah.
So we will start around maybe another 2 or 3 minutes time. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining in, for tuning in for our YouTube live. Today, we have a very interesting topic, which I think in everybody's mind, those who are teaching now in a semester. Luckily, I'm not teaching any course this semester, Hafiz.
Oh, okay. So you can focus on the things that you love.
You just focusing on helping our staff to really get themselves on online, in their online class, technical issues and so on.
I see.
All right. So for those who have joined in, please bear with us another 2 minutes or 3 minutes. I think we will start around 5 minutes past 3, just to get to wait for other people to come in, and then we will start. Yeah. So get everyone to be comfortable. Make sure you have your cup of tea or coffee ready. For your information, we are doing this session on Zoom. So Dr. Hafiz and I, we are on Zoom, so that Dr. Hafiz can share his screen on his side and have total control from his side. And from Zoom, we stream live to YouTube. And you can do that only if we have the Zoom Pro account. pro account, only pro or enterprise account or education account, you can stream the Zoom session to YouTube. And why would you want to do that? Because for free account also you can do Zoom session for 40 minutes, right? Yes, now maybe during this COVID-19, they allow you probably unlimited time. But with free account, you cannot stream live from your Zoom account. For that, you need to have a pro account, which is about $14 a month, or enterprise account or education account. So I'm actually subscribing monthly basis. But the good thing is I'm paying for this month subscription fee, using the income that I get from my online course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
I
are you
just
getting
paid.
any very steady stream of income from your Udemy and
Yes.
also Skillshare?
Skillshare, yes, steady stream, not much, but can cover all my learning online. All right.
That's good.
Yeah, we have another 1 minute because I promised to start at 3:05. So for those who join in, we just joined in, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. I can see Dr. Kandapan here. Dr. Kandapan is from Taylor's University? I remember now. We have Anissa Jessica Lee, we have Devi Teshin, Rajendra Sankar, Nazri, Sky Leong, Aida, Mustafa, Reza, Abdul Reza, Dr. Reza, Halimatun, Kiman. Okay. Right. Shall we start, Dr. Hafiz?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sejahtera. Good afternoon, everyone. Wherever you are in Malaysia or maybe outside Malaysia. Welcome to our YouTube live this afternoon. We are streaming live to YouTube using Zoom as a platform. And we are going to have a very interesting topic this afternoon. Again, we are still talking about online because this is the in thing nowadays. Recently, I think still there are a lot of aspects of online learning, online teaching, online class that we need to really learn from those people who have been doing this for some time. So today we are very lucky to have Dr. Muhammad Hafiz bin Muhammad Hanif from UPSI, or UPSI. So he'll be sharing this topic, his perspective on the promises and pitfalls of online learning. Okay. So before we start, and before I introduce him, feel free to introduce yourself, the participants. Feel free to introduce yourself on the chat there, who you are, from where, what you are doing, so that we can get to know each other. Then feel free to ask questions. Can I request, if you want to ask question, maybe you type it in capital letter so that I can differentiate between can differentiate between questions and comment or feedback. Yeah. Right. But feel free to ask questions. We will entertain the questions towards the end. Okay. Now let me first introduce Dr. Muhammad Hafiz. His area is in instructional technology. And he's a senior lecturer in educational technology. And the text is very small. Maybe I think I will let Dr. Hafiz to introduce yourself, Dr. Hafiz, because I have problem to read the text here. It's a bit small, but I know personally Dr. Hafiz for a few years now. I think the first time I met him in a program in UM. I remember at that time, and I think he's been active on Facebook and he's been active also talking about education in general. I think now in his position as director of school lab or something like that, Dr. Hafiz,
Yeah.
you can say more about that. He has a very big responsibility to come up, I think, with great ideas of what would be the ideal school is like. That's what I understand. Maybe Dr. Hafiz can share a little bit before you go into the topic, what you are doing. Yeah. So maybe I can pass over the session to you. I will stop the screen sharing on my side so that you can share your screen. So now, if those watching on YouTube Live, you should be able to see my screen now. Myself and Dr. Hafiz side by side. So over to you, Dr. Hafiz. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll share my screen.
Okay, your screen is coming up now.
All
Yeah,
right,
we can see very clearly. We can hear you clearly, so go ahead.
All right, okay. Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Abdul Karim Alias, for this opportunity. This is a very, meaningful opportunity for me. Thank you, Prof. And I've been, hoping to get, this kind of session with Professor Abdul Karim Alias, and I've been, following you as a role model. And I'm seeing you as a role model, Prof. Because you have done a lot in terms of the edutech, initiatives and everything. I've learned the open education resources from you. If you still remember, we had that session in USM.
Yes.
Yeah, I've learned a lot thanks to you. So and thanks to you for this opportunity for me to share with others what I know about online learning in terms of its promises and also its pitfalls. So before I go any further, let me just introduce myself to those who don't really know about me. My name is Muhammad Hafiz bin Mat Hanif, and I am a senior lecturer of educational technology in the Department of Educational Studies, Faculty of Human Development, Universiti Pendidikan Sultan Idris, Malaysia. And we are located in Perak, specifically in Tanjung Malim.
Tanjung Malim City.
Yes, Tanjung Malim, and we have the nearest city we have here is Proton City. Yeah, and then my degree was in TESOL, and after that, while doing TESOL program, my minor was in literature. So while doing TESOL, I found that the love of technology goes really smooth with the learning and teaching of language. So that was when I picked up the tools and technology, the edutech tools. So I loved it so much that after I've posted to SMK Kulim High Tech, for that was my first and the last ever school that I've taught. And I've just had an experience of teaching there for about a year when I got an offer to further my study for Masters and PhD under UPSI. So I just grabbed that opportunity, and Alhamdulillah, they offered me opportunity to focus on educational technology field, which I really love. So I did my master's in and my PhD in UC of Warwick, UK. And after that, after coming back from PhD in 2016, I've been dabbing with a lot of things, trying out, producing a YouTube channel, trying to be a YouTuber, and trying to try my luck to actually make videos, educational videos that can achieve that viral kind of like quality. But sadly, I can't. Probably because educational stuff won't be as won't achieve as the virality of other videos on TikTok and other parts of the other types of videos that are being viral nowadays. I'm still hoping to get that recipe to have to be able to create videos that can achieve viral kind of in probably overnight, but that is still in KIV in my list of to-do list. So recently, last year, I got the opportunity to be the director of Akademi Pendidikan Sekolah Makmal Lab School of UPSI, and the idea behind this PTJ, Pusat Tanggungjawab, is to create our very own school in UPSI with our own ideals, with our own framework, and UPSI being the one of the main players of education in this country, and we have more than 700 experts in education in UPSI. So we are trying to build up the a modern kind of like approach to education system and the schooling experience itself. So it's a work in progress. And I can see that there is a hope of changing things in the near future, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah. All right. So that is a bit about me. So let's not talk more about me. Focus on the topics that we have curated today. So thank you everyone for joining this session. And for this session, I would like to touch on the promises and pitfalls of online learning. So there are many things that are involved or will be discussed in these slides, and I hope that you will participate in the discussion. If you have any question, as what Prof. Abdul Karim Alias have told you just now, please post your question in capital letters so that we can, differentiate between the greetings and also the questions in the YouTube live chat. So I have a different monitor to monitor the live chat on my side. So if you have any questions, feel free to post it there. So at the end of the session, we have what I call AMA, Ask Me Anything session. So you can, I'll browse through again the live chat to see the questions, and I'll try my best to answer the questions. Bear in mind, I'm not an expert in this field. I'll try my best to, to accommodate with the questions, and hopefully it will bring benefits to everyone. So promises and pitfalls of online learning. In this session, I will touch quite a number of topics. The first being the paradox of technology, and followed by what is online learning. We need to understand what is online learning, how it's different with offline learning, and we are going to look at what does online learning looks like. And in this section, I won't be, delving into the tools, the technologies, the devices that are available online for online and online learning. I think those aspects have been or will be, covered in sessions before and after, in the future. I'm bringing all of you to a different perspective, not new, but a different perspective, looking at online learning. After that, I will talk about the promises and the realities of online learning. And after that, I'll share a bit about how do we actually tackle the paradox of technology and the paradox of online learning. And that will be followed by the last session, the AMA session, as what I've said just now. All right. So audience participation right now, how's your experience with technology in the classroom? So you can drop your answer using the YouTube live chat. So I want to know whether you have had, a good experience, a bad experience, a meh experience while using technology in your classroom. You can share that with, with us, with me via the YouTube live chat. So I'll give, around 2 to 3 minutes for you to be able to gather your thoughts and write it down. So we have here, while waiting for you to, share with what the technology that you are using or the experience of using the technology in your classroom. Let me scroll up and see who's in. We got people, we got Kiman here. So we got people, just now I saw people from Unitan. Welcome, Unitan. We got people from USM, USM Humanities, UITM, UTM.
Some people say using technology is daunting, challenging, and interesting as well.
Oh, okay. So using technology in the classroom is fun. So that is from you, Prof. Been using, student seems to be more attentive. So I think this is the case of using technology in the classroom. Okay. So far it's good and fun. Okay. My approach is simpler, so it's smiley, so probably fun. Not as friendly. Azhar is hancur. Siti Khadijah. Siti K. I got Siti K in the house. This is my fellow friend from the MIT group, Master of Instructional Technology. My fellow friend when I did my masters in UM.
Oh.
Why Siti K hancur?
Siti K from UITM, right?
She's UTM.
Oh, UTM. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So some people hancur. Some people say not as friendly.
Not as friendly, mixed reaction. Sometimes.
For whoever said for blended, it is great, but the students take some time to get used to it.
Yeah. For blended, it's great, but students take some time to get used to it. I've experienced teaching master student, and the students will need help to guide understanding on how to use it well. Yeah, definitely. I go with the flow. Wow. My students love it. All right. I love the kind of like a well mixture of responses in the chat section here, because that is the nature of technology. You bring your own perspective and also experiences inside the own the practice. So some probably experience a lot better with by using technology in the classroom, probably based on a number of factors, and others probably might not have the same luck and in using technology in the classroom, and that also based on several factors that we are going to explore further later. Need to be patient. Yes, that is one of the key aspects of using technology. I think, if not all, most of you aware of this Murphy's law. When something is bound to be not running very smooth, it's going to happen like that. So that is always the case with technology, at least based on my experience. So my experience is a little bit of a mixture between good and bad. the good experiences happen when you have all the things that you plan, and it can be successfully carried out in the classroom, and that is where the fun begins. But the the bad ones, the bad experience that I encountered while using technology in the classroom is when things fail. For example, the connection between the laptop and the projector is buggy, or you have done online Padlet, or you've prepared online quiz using quizzes, but then when you go into the classroom, suddenly that day, that fateful day, there's no internet in the classroom. So those are the things that probably you guys also have experienced it too. All right, let's move on. So those are related to the paradox of technology. So what Donald Norman, the author of the Design of Everyday Things, so this book is very much useful if you are looking into the UX, user experience of everyday things, and he talks about more in his book. But there is one excerpt in his book that says, the same technology that simplifies life by providing more functions in each device also complicates life by making the device harder to learn, harder to use. So that is the paradox of technology. You have, the technology is designed to actually help us to, to simplify things, to, like, for example, if, if you want to do like sambal belacan lah, for example. Last time you have to, you have to have your mortar, and then you have to ketuk everything. But then today, you have blenders and everything, so it's a convenience. But then the same technology can also complicates life, meaning that you need to learn how to use it. So the learning part is where it complicates life, right? Because before this, you don't have the necessity of learning to use, for example, let's say Padlet. So we know that Padlet can help us, to gather a lot of materials, resources online, and giving space or platform for students to actually contribute their thoughts and comments during the classroom. But then, in order to use Padlet, you need to first sign up for an account and explore the functionalities of the Padlet, the technology, the platform, in order for you to understand the affordances of that tool, right? So that complicates a bit for me. For me, it doesn't really have, I doesn't really have any issues learning new tools, because my outlook in this kind of things is, the more tools I learn, the better I can be in my teaching and learning practice. But some people look at the need to learn new stuff to be quite cumbersome and problematic for them. They need to probably, they think that they need to probably set up a lot of things in order to make it work. I've seen this a lot when delivering courses in so many different places. It's a general kind of like mode for some people. Okay, so that is the paradox of technology. If we look at the current situation right now, it's a hard, not right now. It has been talked about for quite a number of years, the IR 4.0. So if we look at the industry revolution 1.0, it starts with the mechanization, the power, the steam power, it starts with mechanical aspects, and moving into industry 2, industry 3, and industry 4, you can see the progression of the technology, and each step, it further complicates, the technology is more refined, is more, robust, and that comes with the prerequisite of learning, new things for the technology to function well. Okay, let's take, like, for example, the evolution of telephone. Okay, back then, I still remember my parents had this, rotary phone, where you have to, pick up the phone, the gagang, all right, and then you have to actually, dial up the numbers in a circular motion. So I really miss that kind of, interaction, that tactile, interaction right now. Right now, it's just, you with your finger and touching the screen. There's no tactile feedback unless the phone, you set it on vibrate, then it has a bit of, haptic kind of feedback. But that's that. That's technology. So jumping from, the rotary phone to nowadays, you can actually, receive a call here using your smartwatch. It's a huge step. And with that huge step comes a set of prerequisite knowledge. Okay, you can't, if I say, if let's say I'll give this smart watch to a person that has been using rotary phone for all of his life, and say, okay, please make a call using this watch, he or she will scratch his or her head, because there's no continuity of knowledge between what he knows or she knows with what the present or the technology offers. Okay, so that is the kind of like the paradox of technology. All right, and to top it off, almost everything has cost and benefit. Okay, in order for us to learn to use this smartphone to call a person, it costs you time, money, energy, for the benefit of calling other people's. That is just a simple example. Let's look at online learning. Okay, let's look at online learning, how cost and benefit might be viewed. For example, let's take Padlet, for example. You want to use Padlet in your teaching. So what's the cost and benefit of using that technology? So the cost is your time in exploring the tools, and probably you need to also upgrade the account from just the free version, which just enables you to create just 5 Padlets, 5 boards, to unlimited boards. So that costs you money and also energy. All right, and the benefit is you got to use the tools after you have learned Padlet. You can amplify the benefits by multiplying the Padlets and use it in different classes. Okay, so that is just a simplistic view of cost and benefit. Almost everything in this world, in your life, has cost and benefit. Even though something that it seems to have no cost and no benefit, there is a cost and benefit. Like, for example, let's say we'll take altruistic kind of like people who help other people without hoping for any returns. Yeah, there's no, let's say I want to donate 10 ringgit to this person. So I'll go to the person and donate 10 ringgit and then say to the person, no, 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 you don't have to pay me back. All right. So there's no, seemingly, it seems that there's no benefit for me, but actually there is a benefit. For that kind of like action, like for example, it cost me 10 ringgit. Okay, that's the cost. What's the benefit? Even though I'm not really, I'm not going to, getting monetary kind of like benefits to it, but I am receiving benefits in other perspective, in other elements also, in terms of like, for example, by doing so, other people who saw me donating 10 ringgit to this person will, think that, oh, okay, Hafiz is very good person. So here, actually, I'm benefiting, at the, the social kind of like dynamics level, where my so-called role in the society is a bit higher. That's an example. Okay, everything has benefits and costs. All right. So, what do you think is the cost and benefit of learning? So this is something that I would like you to share with us in the YouTube live channel, live chat. Okay, what do you think is the cost of learning and the benefits of learning?
Cost and benefit of learning.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Probably the benefit of learning,
So,
we can, we can actually, think of it very easily in terms of, learning. So we have knowledge. So probably the benefit is, to the betterment of human race. But what are the costs of learning?
is it in the context of, is it in the context of online learning or just learning in general?
Let's look at the learning in general.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's the cost? Cost of learning. Yeah, cost in terms of time and effort.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Individual need.
Kiman said tough question to answer.
Come on, Kiman. Time and effort. Yeah. Commitment. Sustainability. Yeah.
To me, the biggest one is time lah.
Yeah. Investment of time. Yes.
Investment of time.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the kind of the typical or common kind of reason, if not excuse, but people say, oh, I don't have time to learn this technology. I don't have time to really learn this tool. No,
Yeah.
so to me, from my experience, time always the factor that people has been saying it most of the time.
Yeah, I think the literature also agrees with that.
Yeah. But I think there's one interesting comment here from Intan Aidura here. Too much information available. I think that's also, that's probably in terms of cost, maybe, right?
Yeah, probably. So too much information available, which means that you need to somehow sift through all of the information to find the suitable one for you to use. Juhara Harun said, we can look into the context of value rather than measuring the numbers of money that we spend. It is an investment. I would say it is priceless.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Exactly.
If you look at the value of learning, yeah, it's priceless. No matter how much money you're spending, learning is, it's invaluable. Yeah. In Udemy, I have purchased more than 100 courses.
Oh.
Can you believe it? But I always wait for them to offer the the discounts.
The sale price. Yeah, discount.
Yeah, the sale price.
I have taken, I think, probably about 20 courses on Udemy.
You have created, is it?
No. I've taken the course as a student.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
But I also have a subscription to LinkedIn Learning, so I have access to thousands of their courses.
Oh, okay. All right. Cost of learning from Chua Kiman, our passion. Yes. Yeah. Self-discipline is also another factor if one is not used to using technology for online teaching and learning. Yeah, self-discipline is also a factor. Not sure whether it's cost. I think it's a cost. It's something that you have to spend. You have to to practice in terms of learning online. Self-discipline. All right, okay. So we have time, money, effort, passion. So those are the costs of learning, which is, yeah. Muna Abu Jalil ask, which best to get, cost or benefit? Which best to get, cost or benefit? Cost or benefit? Of course, if we look at which best to get, it should be benefit, because cost implies expenditure, benefit is receiving. So it's always good to receive things, not expend, taking out things. But yeah, that's about cost and benefit for learning. Okay, so we are going into the dimension of learning online and learning offline. So when we say learning online or online learning, it's it also connotes that there is learning offline, which is the face-to-face. All right. Okay. So what really the similarity? What's the one thing that these two mode of learning, online and offline, tries to accommodate or try to to attain, right? So when we look at these two mode of learning, so anything that revolves around learning online or learning offline, it's an attempt to provide a conducive environment for the purpose of giving students the opportunity to flourish, whether it's online or whether it's offline. That is actually the objective of having learning. Respect is what do you call that? whether it's online or offline. So it's actually talking about, you know, how best to deliver this knowledge or share this knowledge to the students. So it's an attempt to provide, you know, an environment, a learning environment. Okay. So online versus offline learning. So what's the difference between online and offline? Okay, I think this is, if not all, most of you know about this, you know, the dichotomy of online and offline learning, what differentiate it. But let me reiterate it again. The online and offline learning, we can say that the difference is on the location, time, and cost. So the location for online, it's basically anywhere, and as long as there is a Wi-Fi connection or connection to the internet. Okay, and offline usually we you know, it's associated with classroom, physical, face-to-face, you know, kind of like teaching. What about time? Online, it's asynchronous. It can be synchronous and asynchronous, but for offline teaching, face-to-face learning, it you know, always revolves around, you know, synchronous time, teacher being there teaching, or you know, teaching and learning with the students. The cost, both mode of learning has its cost, but you know, more and more people are saying that online learning reduces the cost of learning, probably because of the, you know, the access to information, the textbook or e-books that are available online. That makes it, you know, online learning more accessible to people. For offline learning, let's talk about, you know, being in IPT. You have to have, you know, a certain set of requirements for you to enter an IPT, Institute of Higher Learning. But for online, the prerequisite or the requirement is a stable connection to the internet. All right. So, is there anything else? I think anything else that is, you know, frequently mentioned in the literature and in discussion about the difference between online and offline learning, that will be dependent variable. So, for example, if you say that, you know, online learning students, you know, do well in online learning rather than offline learning or face-to-face learning. So that is mostly depending on your pedagogical design. Okay, if you know, the online platform offers more, then of course, online learning will have an upper hand in this kind of like context. But usually it's all about, you know, the pedagogical design that you know, that underlines the instruction, whether it's online or offline learning. Okay, so let's look at the live chat, whether you have you know, some ideas or, you know, points that I might miss while comparing between online and offline learning. Presence. Heman says presence. Yeah, presence. That is also, you know, I can put that in too, because presence in offline, it's a face-to-face kind of like, you know, relationship. You can actually read the body language for, you know, from the students. If the students are not really, you know, they are not really enjoying the session, the teaching and learning session in face-to-face teaching and learning, in the classroom, you can tell by the body language, the facial expression from the students. But then in online space, the presence is quite limited. The presence is quite limited because you are missing a lot of visual cues. Unless you are doing a video chat or video conferencing like what we have, if looking at the current setup that we have right now, I can only look at Prof. Karim's feedback, his facial expression, for me to gauge whether I'm doing, my talk, whether it's good or bad, right? But then for the others, they are using live chat. I am missing your visual cues unless you're using emojis and things like that to actually, express your feelings. But that is what presence is all about between online and offline. And that is something that educators need to also be reminded of and to think about while, developing the materials or designing online learning experience, okay?
Some people say that the online learning is more suitable for introvert students. They feel more liberated, perhaps, in online environment. What do you think? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can really relate to that because I often say that I am an introvert, but most of my friends, schooled me when I said that. They thought that I am not an introvert. Probably I'm an ambivert, but I really prefer my quiet time. But yeah, if given an opportunity, I would prefer to chat online rather than having a video conference like this because I'm not how to say
Not feeling comfortable.
yeah to some degree, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely online platform unlocks that kind of like dimension in students, but that is also depending on the way you design that lesson, okay, and the tools that you use in in that online learning and session. Because if you have like, for example, a bulletin board kind of like forum format interaction online, so if you don't peg a mark for their participation, I doubt 100% students will try to comment on that kind of like on that kind of like activity. If you say, okay, there is a mark or there is marks for this forum. So forum is 10% out of 100%. So of course, students will interact in that platform for the sake of 10 10% marks. But if we take out the marks or percentage of score from the interaction, what do we get? We will get students who are passionate to learn, and these people are the only people that are going to engage in discussion in that kind of like context. And this is very much related to what I did for my PhD. I did a study on participation and learning in an online community. So I experimented on, or not experiment, or I looked at an online community of independent game developers. So within that, there is a forum whereby all of the users of this specific online game developing tool, they have this forum to communicate. So they have a very high percentage of participation among the members of the community. When I look into closely why they participate, it's because there is a need for them to participate. Okay, more often it's because they bumped into a problem while using the device or the application to develop a game. They bump into a problem and they post that problem on that forum when waiting for the old timers of the forum to actually help them. So what we can learn from this interaction is we have to actually create the need for the students to actually interact within or discuss within the online platform. Okay, and to do that, there are so many other, there are so many strategies to do that. So the key is to make the learning relevant to them. Okay, so that is.
Dr. Hafiz, there's this comment from Nurul Hana Hussein,
okay,
that positive reinforcement is needed in moderating online. So can can you elaborate on positive reinforcement? I think these are from the psychology kind of aspect, right?
Yeah, positive reinforcement. I think this is from psychology. I can't say much on positive reinforcement because I don't have that enough information about positive reinforcement to actually comment on this context.
Nurul Hana says rewards and marks. So it's kind of the extrinsic motivation.
Yeah, I think it's revolves around extrinsic reward. So it's if it is like what I said just now, you can put marks and badges and rewards to the participation, but that, for me, in my personal opinion, that doesn't really translate that very well in the online learning, because if you take out the rewards and marks, none or close to none students will involved in that discussion. Okay, what we are trying to educate them is for them to have the natural drive to learn. What we are teaching them is, okay, if you do this, you get marks. So that is something that we need to look into, whether it is something that is good for the students or not, because we are conditioning them towards, okay, if you do this, there are marks. Okay, so they are doing that for the sake of marks, not for the sake of learning. But yeah, I can understand that this is highly debatable kind of like issues. Probably we can move this discussion in the AMA session. All right. Okay. So when we look at the internet growth, so online learning is all about internet, accessing the internet. So when we look at the internet growth, we can see that there is a boom, .com bubble, circa 1995, and this led to a plethora of companies booming up, growing in the Silicon Valley, offering all set of tools and technologies that are available for other people to use. And educators, we are excellent at bending technologies to fit our educational purposes. Okay, like for example, Facebook came up. Okay, and Facebook is all about socializing, getting friends together, looking at friends' statuses and things like that. But we educators, we see that platform as an opportunity for having a social kind of like classroom in an online environment, right? Let's look at Twitter. Again, Twitter is not, isn't developed for educational purposes, but then educators, we again excellent at, bending the technologies for our needs. We turn the Twitter, even though it is, restricted to just few, few hundreds words, um, we turn it around to fit our needs, embed it in our instruction, as probably I've seen Twitter being used as a reflection platform, yeah, for the students, or Q&As platform for the students, and so on and so forth. So this is some of the things that we need to be aware as educators. Not many tools out there that are purposely designed and built for education purposes. So it is our job to actually, understand the technology, understand the platform, and see how it can fit into our instruction. There is no hard and fast rule to convert, the readily available tools out there to fit our needs. But it is all depends on, uniquely depend on your needs and your students' need, the environment or the affordances, the technological, reliability of the situation that you have in your own classroom and with your students. Yeah. So this is something that you have to bear in mind. Okay. So after everything that we have, explored, what does online learning looks like, in particular in Malaysia? Okay. Right. So as what I have mentioned early on, while before starting the slides, starting the presentation, this section, I won't delve into the many tools, the many technologies, the many platforms that are available right now for you to use. And that is, I think, will be, satisfied by other, educators doing webinars, and we can see this a spike thanks to COVID-19. We can see a spike in terms of educators both from the KPM and KPT are trying to having webinars and educating a lot of other teachers how to use these technologies. So you can actually follow that that set of webinars to look into the online learning and the tools. What I'm proposing for us to look at is a bit different from a different perspective. So when we look at the internet penetration rate in Malaysia, so this is based on the latest report from Hootsuite and wearesocial.com. This is from 2020 report. So for Malaysia, it's about 83%. 83%, and this is this number is quite high, relatively high if we compare with countries within the Southeast Asia region. So we are at 83% penetration rate of internet in Malaysia. But what about the 17%, the remaining 17%? Okay. So if we look at the remaining 17%, it is equivalent to the land area of Pahang, Terengganu, and Negeri Sembilan. Okay, so this might be a very simplistic way of comparing the stats. I'm not a statistician. I'm not good at statistical analysis, but this is a very simplistic way of looking into internet penetration vis-a-vis land we have in Malaysia. So it's quite a big area actually, Pahang, Terengganu, and Negeri Sembilan. Okay, if we combine that land area, and we can actually deduce, make a simple deduction, of this large area of approximately 56,000 square kilometers. There will be people living in there and children living in there, families with children. So at this point in time where we have COVID-19 and the MCO, how are we reaching this 17%, the remaining 17% who don't really have access to the internet? And what about those who are at the area where it's a very, poor connectivity in terms of internet? So we have been talking about, preparing online learning, in a very, with the assumption that, everyone is getting Wi-Fi, everyone is getting the internet, but in realities, not everyone is benefiting from the internet. Not everyone is able to actually reach the internet. So how do we address this? Okay, some of you probably might be saying that this 17% might be the land area in Sabah and Sarawak, the forest area with no people. Probably, you're probably right. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that this 17% have people and children inside of it. So how are we going to address this issue? Are we going to just let them, okay, we are not going to address this? So this is something that has surfaced in this recent event of COVID-19, whereby in my, within my Facebook circles, I have, teachers are teaching in, different parts of the countries, and they are complaining that their students are not getting Wi-Fi and internet. So how are they going to, continue the lesson? So I have, a friend, a Facebook friend, Cikgu Goh, and he had he's facing this kind of problem, and what he did was he used SMS. So the good old SMS is, I think, the good old SMS is coming back from the dead. Okay, and this is probably a potential to mitigate this kind of issues of connectivity in remote areas. So teachers can use SMS, to reach students who are unable to, to be connected to the internet. But this also raised an issue because SMS cost, is quite high. If you look at the prepaid options from the five main telcos in Malaysia, the rate of SMS is between 9 cent to 20 cent per SMS. So imagine if you are trying to send a bunch of text to your students, or instruction to your students, or learning materials to your students. And bear in mind, SMS, if you are sending a very long SMS, it will be divided into several parts, and each part will cost you different costs. Yeah.
So the telcos are still making money out of this situation, right?
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I've written a piece, commenting about this in media. I'm still waiting for it to be published. I am calling for for the telcos to actually look into this matter and to try to at least within this PKP MCO duration, try to reduce the SMS cost a bit if it is possible in the area where internet is low or there's no connectivity, because it's I think for me it's the social responsibility of this kind of this uh, telco giants in Malaysia in amidst COVID-19. Okay, and this is something that we can further discuss later. Okay, so I'm getting to last few slides of my presentation. So online learning between promises and realities. So we've understand the promises, we've understand the realities. So what now, right? So what we need to understand is there are some prerequisite, to online learning. The first being teacher's readiness. So the teacher's readiness, it's all about the TPCK, the technological pedagogical content knowledge. So teachers need to have the technological knowledge. They need to know what are the tools that are available, what are their affordances, sorry, and the pedagogical knowledge. They need to to be aware of certain pedagogies that can support or that can be implemented online. And there are also pedagogical designs that can't be replicated online. Content-wise, I don't really need to comment on that, because that is the core the core knowledge that each teachers or each lecturers, each educators have. So my call is to for us educators to look at this TP, technological and pedagogical knowledge. How you the knowledge of how you combine technology and also pedagogy in your teaching and learning, and more so in the online environment. And also attitude. Okay, so we can have a lot of tools, we can have a lot of technologies, devices available for teachers to use. But another aspect that is important for us is attitude. You need to have the can-do attitude, the grit, the passion to actually pull this off, the online learning. Otherwise, because online learning has its, has many drawbacks. If you have a buggy line or connection or internet connection, that will affect your experience using the online tools. So you need to be, vigilant. You need to be, you need to have that grit quality in you, so that you keep on doing it regardless of the problems that might arise. So in the students' part, the students' readiness, they need to also have the knowledge in terms of using that device or that tools, and also attitude as well. In terms of device, we can actually look into whether the students have access to appropriate device to actually pull the online learning off. For example, in IPTs, I don't think there is much concern in terms of access to devices for students, because probably, if not all, most of the students have access to device. If not, a smartphone, a laptop. If not a laptop, a PC. Okay, but what if it is about the students in the schools, right? They need to, probably some of them have their own device, but others might need to use their parents or their siblings' devices. And this is something that we need to also understand and try to mitigate that. The third being technology readiness, okay? And this, I think, have been explored extensively, in the previous slides. The infrastructure readiness. So this is something that I've touched just now. The low bandwidth application, we need to also look at, to take into account, students who are residing in area where there is a low bandwidth or there is no internet connectivity. Okay, even though in the university itself, the residential college, there might be, the internet there might have a problem. The students, because there are a large volume of students accessing the internet there, and that might pose a problem. So we need to also understand that. There is also a need to actually move into offline first application. So offline first application is a concept whereby apps in smartphone can work without the connection to the internet. So this is something that is the concept of offline first application is quite new, and not many technology can support this kind of application architecture. But this is something that is very possible to be implemented in the near future. And the last but not least is the policies. So we in university, I hope there is not much, of issues in terms of policy for using devices in the classroom and lecture hall. But for students who are in the primary and secondary schools, the ministry has yet to actually, develop a proper policies to enable this students to use devices in the classroom. There are schools that allow students to actually bring in devices in the classroom. But I know MRSM and SBPs, they allow their students to bring devices in the classroom. But other public universities, I can't comment much on that. Okay.
I think the topic is the offline first applications. This is something of the urgency. We really need this. If we have now, they would be good.
Yes, true. In fact, I am developing one right now, and the one that I'm developing is for what do you call that? Learning analytics and also formative assessment. So that is something that I'm trying to explore the possibilities of offline first application, mobile application, to be used by the teachers, inshallah. And last but not least is this is my suggestion to all of you in terms of tackling the technology paradox. Okay, the first is in order for us to tackling the technological paradox, know your students, know your audience, and know your technology. That is the first thing. Analyze your students, analyze your analyze the technology. Analyze the students mean you need to know what the students know. You need to know what kind of technologies are available, devices that are available to the students. And analyze the technology, meaning that you need to fully understand how certain technology works. Like for example, Padlet or YouTube Live. These are the things that it seems simple, but it takes a lot of fine tuning, a lot of work that you need to do in order for you to pull it off successfully. And hats off to Prof. Karim, that he has been able to pull off this, webinars for, quite a number of times already, and successfully at that. So it's really not a simple thing to do. You need to prepare a lot of things beforehand. You need to test the technology, the bandwidth. In fact, before the session, we've had the some initial testing session. While trying to mix a different kind of like technology, a platform to be used in this session. Probably next session, Prof. Next session. Yeah.
Yeah. So we make it short and simple.
Yes. Keep it short and simple.
Yeah.
I think I have been talking for quite a long time already for this slide. So anything, just keep it simple, short and simple, and make it relevant. Use real world application, because with relevancy, if the students see the relevance of learning it, they will learn. They will have the drive or the motivation to learn, because they can see the applicability of the knowledge that you are trying to impart. And focus on students' experience, meaning that you have to provide support for your students, support in terms of the materials, and focus on students' experience also, like the one that we've talked about early on, the presence, the social presence in online environment. That is also something that we also need to take into account. There is a concept in communication theory, immediacy, where it talks about the psychological distance between one person to another in mediated environment. And this is, among other things, are governed by how fast you provide feedback to that person. All right. So let's say we have a synchronous forum, online forum, bulletin board kind of like format interaction. So if a student posts a question there, by right, you need to be attentive to that, because if you take a very long time to actually provide an answer to that student's question, that students will feel more and more disconnected to the instructor, to you actually. So that is what immediacy is all about. You need to take care of that. And even though online learning looks fun and simple, it's actually hard work. It's a lot of work to actually maintain the interaction with our students. All right, so that is, I think, some of the things. This is not instructive or exhaustive kind of like list to tackle technology paradox. Might be you have other suggestions that you can put forth. Maybe you can share to tackle this paradox, to make online learning easier, perhaps. So that's all. I think we can move into the AMA session. Okay. Thank you, Prof.
Oh, okay, done. Okay, can you keep the stop the screen sharing?
All right.
So
okay.
we can go back to our Zoom. Yeah. All right. So thank you very much, Dr. Hafiz. We are not done yet. Please don't go. Just let's say take about 10 minutes to go through the Q&A. And I actually agree to the last few points that Dr. Hafiz mentioned about doing this online session like this seems to be, well, easy to the audience, but Actually, it's a lot of hard work. Actually, in preparation of preparing for the session, we will have some engagement. I have actually engaged the Hafiz since the last few days. Yesterday and this morning, we did some tests to try out a few things and so on. And on the speaker side, I'm sure there are also, kind of the anxiety is there, especially for those who are not familiar with online. Even for those who are quite familiar with online things, still, even for me, I find it time consuming, a lot of hard work, a lot of planning. It's not that easy actually. So in terms of the pitfalls, so Dr. Hafiz just now has covered some of the so-called pitfalls in terms of the technology, in terms of the readiness, in terms of the infrastructure, the issue of digital divide, and so on. Those are the pitfalls. But I think overall, probably you would agree that there are more promises rather than the pitfalls. So I would rather focusing on the promises, because I do feel, and I keep mentioning this again and again, that online education, online learning is no longer an option. Technology is no longer an option. We have to learn and find ways to integrate all this into our course, whether it's face-to-face or fully online or blended learning. So those are the few things that I think I can kind of highlight of the sharing just now. So let's pick up some of these questions or maybe comment. I noticed quite interesting comment just now. Let's see. Where is it? Okay, this kind of made me smile. The comment from Atika Shaharudin.
Okay.
One thing I can see is that most of us are probably going to come out of this as YouTube stars.
Sorry?
One thing I can see from this from Atika, one thing I can see is that most of us are probably going to come out of this as YouTube stars. So we are going, we are doing YouTube live and so
Yeah.
on, sharing
YouTubers. More and more are converting, into YouTubers nowadays. Yeah.
I guess why not all of us?
Yeah. I don't think because the entry requirement is very low. You have to have a webcam.
Yeah.
And I think all of the laptops, the modern laptops have built-in webcam and the microphone, and most important thing, the tenacity of exploring the technology.
This is my kind of call, urging all of us educators in Malaysia to set up their channel, start to create content, and put it up on YouTube, so that now Malaysian educators will become one of the biggest contributors of content online.
Yes.
Because I think all this while we are one of the biggest users rather than one of the biggest kind of creators. So we are consumers rather than creators. What about that? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So let's everyone become YouTubers. All right. So Dr. Hafiz, do you want to pick up any question? Those in I think capital letters.
Yeah. Let's see if there's any questions. Please post your questions.
I think they have posted some questions. There's one from Datin Padlon Abdurrahman. She said that online learning is definitely a great step for future, but as of for me, it is challenging for my batch of educators to adapt with this new way of teaching. So perhaps, we always, sometimes we forget that not everyone are on equal kind of equal footing. Some are actually very new. So how are we dealing with those who say that they are not ready, but they want to do it? They want to embark on online learning, but they are not ready in terms of skill.
Well, I can comment on that, Prof. Thank you for the question. I think wanting to explore, that is the first step, because not many, educators that I have experienced, teaching or sharing what I know about the tools and technology to be embedded in the classroom, have that kind of drive. If you have that kind of drive, you want to do it, and that is the first step. The next step for those who want to learn is to find a proper mentor. Let's say if Prof. Karim is available, then you can talk to him. If not, then my best suggestion is to go on YouTube. YouTube has a lot of resources, a lot of videos telling you step by step on how to do things. In fact, I am not a programmer myself, but I managed to build, a program based on the videos that I've watched on YouTube and Udemy. So this is something that all of us need to pick up. I think this is a very essential skill of googling for resources, using the right term, and using YouTube to actually look at videos, how-to videos. I have taught myself how to sew baju Melayu.
Kurta.
Yeah, kurta. I did my first kurta, I think 3 years back, based on I think a playlist by a Pakistani, I think. She created this video online, very beautiful, very instructive videos on how to actually measure out, how to actually cut the cloth and sew what type of jahitan and everything. This came not as a necessity, but just it was an experiment, because it was very near to Raya, and I just came back from the UK, and looking at the prices of baju Melayu in those shops, they are very very expensive. So I think if they can do it, probably I can do it too. So what I did was I spent a night looking at possible tutorials on how to do it, and I've bumped into a series of videos explaining how to sew your own kurta, and I immediately the next day I went to Jackal and bought few meters of cloth and started the project. And immediately after I started the project, I regretted it, because it is very difficult. It's a very difficult skill to actually sew your own kurta. But then having posted the my intention online, so I just carry on trying to finish up my kurta, and alhamdulillah, by the end of the day, I managed to actually have that kurta myself. So that is actually the power of you viewing and following tutorials on YouTube, and that is, I think, one of the skills that we need to pick up.
Dr. Hafiz, when we talk about the promises, I think I want to focus more on the promises of online learning, because we want to give the motivation to everyone rather than talking about the pitfalls, because pitfalls, shortcomings, issues, problems, always bugging us. That's why I don't really myself personally, I know issues are always there, problems are always there, but focus on what we can do in terms of the opportunity and the promises.
Yes.
So maybe you can suggest what would be one or two big promises going into online. But before that, I would like to share from my own perspective. To me, there are two big promises going online. One is the opportunity to make your teaching material, your teaching content, make it available online through YouTube channel and so on, and then allow people to benefit from it, learn from it, and then you can also get feedback from the users, from the learners, even from those your peers, your own peers that using your material for teaching their own class. So this is the best form of peer feedback, peer review, because we never have a proper peer review for our teaching. Why not?
Yeah.
This is perhaps the way we can do it. That's one. And the second one is actually the promise, the big promise of online learning is actually when you prepare your teaching content in different form, from the face-to-face into the online, this is really, you have to put a lot of thought process. The thinking process is actually a lot. Time consuming, yes, but this is where you go, you have the opportunity to go very deep into the subject matter. Then even like 3 minutes or 5 minutes video to prepare the content, actually that give you a lot of opportunity to really master the content and be able to teach the world. Two promises from me. What about you, Dr. Hafiz?
Well, I think I can agree with you on that. And I would like to add just a bit of extension from what you shared. Is that the fact that if you embrace, or we embrace doing online teaching, creating materials online and make it available, and this is an OER kind of like dimension to it, you can be sure that the materials will be used by many other people. And for me, the biggest selling point of creating materials online for online learning is the continuity of pahala, because that is the main driver for me when I created my videos on my YouTube channel, because I believe that these videos will serve me way beyond after my after I'm dropped and dead. The video will be available, so that's why majority of my videos in my YouTube channels are in Bahasa Melayu, because one, there are not many materials or videos in YouTube that are in the Bahasa Melayu format. And my concern is with our Bangsa Malaysia, they are lacking in terms of these materials or resources they can use. And at the same time, they have this difficulty in terms of understanding materials that are written in English. So that's why I prone to developing and producing videos that are in Bahasa Melayu. But there is a bit gotcha to it, because with materials that are being in Bahasa Melayu, your scope of viewers will be smaller, okay, as compared to if you are doing English language kind of based materials. Okay, so that is, I think, for me personally, the major promises and benefits of using or producing online materials. And to top that off, Prof, yes, I believe that we need to focus on the promises, the benefits of online learning. But for us, the thinkers of technology, we have been tinkering with technologies for quite a long time, so we understand the technology and the problems. But why I am highlighting also the pitfalls is for those who are trying to understand starting to understand the, the online learning, what is this all about. So they need to also have a balanced view, to know what they are looking, getting themselves into. So that is why, there is a need to, to also highlight a bit, not so much on the pitfall, but they also need to know that,
Yeah, you're right, because it's not all easy and rosy, right?
Yes.
There's one comment from Anissa, um, Anissa Jessica Lee, saying that actually by going into online teaching online or creating online content and so on, one of the so-called promises is actually making us more creative. From doing this face-to-face teaching, transitioning into online, we have to think of a different way of how best to deliver, the content online. And I think the mindset also not just giving content in the form of PowerPoint in terms of just giving video, teaching video, but also how to make it even more interactive, because it can be easily boring, online. So that's make us very innovative and creative as well. So there's the comment. One question from Bandari Dasril here: online teaching as an alternative, or is it a supplementary for teaching?
Okay. It can be both, I think, Prof, because it can be an alternative if we are looking into ODL, online distance education. It can be an alternative to face-to-face, but it can also be supplemental in terms of, like, for example, flipped classroom, right? Flipped classroom approach, you need to have the online part for the students to actually consume the materials before getting into a face-to-face class. So it goes both ways. It can be the supplementary, and it also can be alternative. It's I think the technology is malleable, and going back to my point in my slide, educators, we are an expert in changing or bending the technology to fit our educational needs. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Hafiz, that's sorry. I'm reading the comment here.
Was
something comment about webcam and personality. So I don't know what exactly Siti Khadijah here.
Okay.
Would
okay.
would the personality or play a role or a persona?
Yes. I agree with that. You need to have a personality when you are going offline. Online. You have your own persona when you have the face-to-face classroom, but in online setting, you need to, to amplify that positive vibe for your students to be able to, to get that, enthusiasm. So that's why if you, if you view some of my videos on my channel, I appear as a joyous, gleeful kind of like instructor, because that is something that I want to, that quality is something that I want it to permeate, across the device to the students. So personality, you need to have that, because otherwise you can't really create, or you can actually create videos or instructional videos like, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are going to learn. You and the students will doze off a few minutes into your video. So you need to have that, that personality. Yeah.
I call it online persona.
Yes. I think I have sit in your session during Kenovasi, where you had the bengkel right after that Kenovasi. talking about persona, I think.
Oh,
And
right,
this is,
okay.
yeah, I was there. Yes.
Okay.
Persona.
Maybe I think the audience probably would like to know in terms of doing the online session like this with our students, what would be the role that we should take on? Is it as a teacher, teaching, or as an instructor, instructing, or as a facilitator? Most people would say as a facilitator, but would you think there's a subtle differences between these three roles?
That is, I think, depending on the tools of the tools that that you are going to use. Let's say it's a webcam teleconferencing kind of like this setup. So that can be facilitating more to not so much on your teacher on stage. But if you are creating materials, like for example recorded lecture, it is you can't really stray from the teacher stage on stage kind of like mode of delivery, because the purpose of you creating that video, recording that video, is to capture your knowledge and in a format that is mobile, that is available anywhere at any time. So what you need to do is to teach if you are recording recording the video. But if you are doing live, kind of like synchronous with multi students, so then your role can be switched. You don't have to lecture so much. You can actually probably turn it on its tail, and trying to get the students to actually spearhead that session, to have that discussion, and then you will chip in only when it needs to be corrected or probably commented on something that is. So it depends on the purpose of and the tools.
My take on that, I would say we should take all the three roles depending on the situation, because it can be very flexible. Sometimes maybe we want to teach, so let's say 1 hour session, so I have some portion where I just teach. I have a PowerPoint and I just explain whatever based on the PowerPoint. Then I have maybe take another role as to instruct. So that's the instruction part, where I get students to do something. Then the one maybe I get students to do the activities. Then I take the role of as a facilitator. So I'm looking from that perspective. We can have these three roles mixing together as and when necessary. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess Dr. Hafiz, I think we cannot answer everything. There's a lot of comments, also feedback there. I think that's very good. Thank you very much to all the participants for being very interactive and very sporting lah, very supportive, very supportive of us throughout this session. So it's almost like 2 hours.
Wow,
it's a long, almost 2 hours. So I guess I think we will end the session here. So before that, I would like to thank Dr. Muhammad Hafiz for really sharing very useful stuff with us. Things, about the pitfalls, about the promises of online learning from your perspective. Of course, we have also our own perspective. I think that's okay. Yep. So thank you very much, everyone. Last thing that I want to share a screen here, one slide. Just one slide. Just to promote, where is it? Just promote this one before you go. Open Learning is organizing this webinar tomorrow, best practices for moving your teaching and training online. And I'll be the panel, not the host, but the panel. it's going to be very interesting, I think. Adam Primo, the group CEO of Open Learning, will be joining from Sydney and will be moderated by Sarwin from Open Learning. It's going to be at 3 p.m. tomorrow. I think they will put up on the Facebook. I'll be sharing also on the Aspiring Young Academic Facebook on my Facebook. So I hope you all can join the session tomorrow. The more the merrier. I think we will talk about, there are a lot of talking points that we can share with all of you. So once again, thank you very much, Dr. Hafiz. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session. See you all again in other webinar. So thank you very much. Stay safe, stay put, stay hungry, stay foolish, and stay strong. Stay strong. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.